And a very good evening to you. I am Lisa Lord, and my special guest is a gentleman who has dedicated 40 years of his life to the entertainment industry in Barbados. You know many of his hits word for word, none other than Mr. Energy himself, Mr. Darcy Ras Iley Small. Mr. Small, thank you so much for joining us on the program.
It's a pleasure, and I would like to say greetings in the name of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I. I would like to thank you and the management of Kensington Oval for having me here this afternoon. And hopefully, it's nice to be on your show, and your viewers, I hope they enjoy the conversation.
I'm sure they will. It's been a long time in coming, and it's a pleasure that you've accepted the invitation as well.
You're welcome anytime.
Now, you've worn many hats over the years, but let's start at the beginning, going back to the lodge school, because I understand it was the lodge school that made you into the man you are. You had to become somewhat rebellious. You were Rastafarian at the time, and at that time, locks were not supposed to be shown at school.
Yeah, well, you know, I choose to live the life as a youngster. And going to school, I would always brush back my hair. And I had one dreadlock with ice green and gold beads on it. And there always used to be a confrontation with me and the headmaster. But it was always a respectable conversation in the sense that I was the rebel with a cause. And even though the headmaster would want me to he never tell me remove them, he tell me put them up. So I used to put them behind my ear. So that when I see him, he never wanted to see the beads. But when he gone, my beads down again. I had instances where a geography teacher and a gentleman that came by me recently, he actually reminded me about the story while he was going to the geography class. Mr. Small, if you don't remove that lock, don't come in my class. And they turn and they walk away from the class. But eventually, he realized that they can't break me. And the next geography class, I was in the class. So I was very popular at school, one, because of my rebel attitude, but with a cause, not with a disrespect to the teachers, because I respect teachers. I don't know how they could do the job, to be honest with you. But those teachers at school kind of mold me. I remember going into a class with a chemistry teacher. We used to call him Blackbeard. He always used to brush back his hair. He used to teach chemistry. And we always had a 2-period with Mr. Harper / Blackbeard. And whenever we go into this class, the first period was never about chemistry. You would walk around the front of the class and you would get like a lecture of Black history, Black consciousness. And then when the first period finished, we okay, well, I want you to study that page and come back for a test, on this. So I lived to see that when I finished school, I encountered Mr. Harper. Mr. Harper is a Rastafarian. And I could feel the vibe from in the school based on the vibes that Mr. Harper was blocking. That this is some education I need to take stock of. So it was not only about the chemistry class, but about other things. And all them things kind of made me stronger and stuff. And well, the headmaster was a character, because I remember, and this ain't a joke, this is serious business. I remember Rudy Grant. The headmaster was into plants and that type of business. So you wasn't supposed to go and pick no plants, pop the blossoms, no flowers, nothing. And Rudy Grant went picking a flower off the headmaster garden, and the headmaster sent Rudy Grant to the office for Scotch tape to stick back the flower onto the plant. So that's one of the best headmasters in the world we had to deal with in terms of, the aura surrounding the individual, the sternness as a headmaster, and the fun and the jokes we would get from the things he used to do. But he still used to rule with a rod of iron. So my days at school started to branch off now into, because I came there running and stuff, because before I go into more depth about the school and the athletics, I grew up in an area where I used to idolize Orlando Green, who was the former coach at Harrison College. I remember when I was going to school, when Orlando Green used to run in the 70s, sometimes we would go to watch him run. And sometimes he might forget a particular pair of running shoes home. And I would have had to run through the gully behind the prison to go by Orlando's mom to get the running shoes to bring for Orlando. So Orlando used to train me round Bird Hill, round Hackett Hall. So when I went into lodge with foundation work. And then obviously, but up on Mark Fingal, the games master, we developed a good bond and relationship. And that was my type of individual in the sense of we had things in common. We could see, you know what I mean?
The stories are legendary.
Yeah, man. I was a student, always respective of the fact that this is the games master. But then we would have a conversation like father and son or two brothers. So when I get involved in the athletics now, we was in a situation where we had a problem with the gear. And Mark didn't want to depend on parents, you know. So we said, listen, we got to raise money for these athletes so that they could got proper spikes, proper shorts and thing, and new gear. Because sometimes the gear kind of worn out and you want the new season to look sparkling and bright when you're competing. And we would hold concerts in the school hall, right? And I put together a band called Ras Iley and the Dreads, which comprises of people like Biggie Irie. He was my drummer. He was into cadets. And I feel great to see Biggie branch off from the drummer and then start to do his stuff. So we would raise money in the concerts and stuff for the athletes in terms of buying the gear. And when we turn up now to compete, it's like there's a problem whenever we see Harrison College, Commonwealth, and Foundation. It's a war, an athletic war. So when they see nowadays how athletes go to the starting blocks and go to compete, that vigor and adrenaline rush that we had to bring back home the medal or to bring back home the trophy or to try our best, you know, I didn't see it there, you know. And I was fortunate this year to be at the sports, where they named the sports after me.
Yes, they held it in your honor.
And I want to give the groundsmen credit for keeping the field in immaculate condition. And I saw some things at the sports that I vowed that I was going to try, hopefully next year, to play an integral part in terms of the athletes being more professional. Because if you don't start from house sports and get your act together, proper shoes, come to the games as though you're competing, and got that type of spirit, you can't come there lackadaisical. So I personally would like to help them going forward next year, whether it be financially or my presence to motivate the younger athletes. And what I would also like to say to parents too, because I know of a fact where even in my time we had problems with some parents. Got a problem with the children at school too late, or there always is an excuse.
Still is a problem.
But you see, because we made sports and entertainment for so long, we don't realize that it ain't about chemistry and biology no more, you know, because everybody want the kid to be a lawyer and a doctor. But athletics and entertainment is some of the biggest money earners in the world. And there are opportunities through athletics where you can get scholarships and choose what career you want going forward.
So let me stop you there. You were a long distance runner.
A champion.
Why didn't you continue with athletics?
Well, here what happened. I'm glad you asked that. The Almighty blessed me with a whole heap of talent. I remember while I was at school, Orlando Green then went to Seton Hall University. And Orlando Green asked me, Ras, I can get you a scholarship tomorrow. You would like it? I said, let me study in my head. I was going to school, I had now met my wife. I was into the horses as a jockey because I had my professional license as a jockey 16 years while I was still going to school. And when they put a lot of things together, I was involved with farming. I wasn't one of the people that just obsessed with the university. And as a realist, I think like a bushman. And because of the talent I had, I tell all that and I ain't gonna be comfortable. And I regret it. Because I built a relationship with my wife from the time I was at school, developed a family, 3 big young men. I eventually had to give up the writing when I see then that the singing took me all around the soca world in 1986, because one of the problems I had at school, the 2 sports, riding the horse, I tried to keep light. And in trying to keep down your weight, you got to avoid the calories that you're going to use to burn off as an athlete. And then when you try to go in these races, even though the type of mind I have, I just get to the finish line. And I just get to the finish line first. But I just get to the finish line now, dropping down and being hospitalized in the sense that on 2 occasions at school, after winning competitive cross-country races, competing among other schools, when I win, you couldn't see nobody around. And I collapsed, hyperglycemia. So I was in hospital on both occasions, for like 2 weeks. So I had the ability to run till I dropped. But what it was doing to my body, the 2 sports, then gelling. So when I came up with the album Spring Garden on Fire, and the whole soca world had me busy traveling with that tune, I just then look back. Not only that, the athletic part is a little more serious, because I just be straightforward when they talk. Now, if I was the top athlete, being the first Bajan to finish in all the Round Barbados 10Ks, and these road races I running, and I got to wait like 2 and 3 months for my prize. You can imagine the man that come in 5th, 6th, and 7th, then the encouragement for he. But the Africans and the Americans that come, going back out the next day. So I just have a problem with them things and how the local people have been treated. And I just get frustrated with that part of the athletics. And then with the singing, it wasn't a hesitation, because when Spring Garden hit, the whole place was on fire upon the soca world. So I never looked back.
No, you won Tuna the Crop back in 1986 with Spring Garden on Fire, just 3 years after finishing school. How was that as a young man with that level of popularity?
Now, my head was always on, because as a Rasta man too, my life is basically discipline. It's always a fight down. So it's difficult to break me. You can't break me now after my whole life have been trials and tribulation. So that there is like a molding that's set in place. So it's difficult to remove me. So my thinking now mentally already registered in my brain and my psyche that as a fighter, and I just gotta keep moving on.
But you're a young man with this level of success at a very young age.
See me as a man that had a good IQ, that used to think business early and used to be ahead of the game. In other words, they got some youngsters growing up. You could be 18 years old and still got a mentality like a 12-year-old.
That's true.
Well, I was 16 years old, I had a mentality like a 25-year-old. To put in that in the shell.
You haven't won the competition as yet. You got the band at school. Was Mr. Fingal instrumental in you getting into music?
Well, obviously, yes, because when I finished school then, he was still at school, but Bike then was close with him from in St. Philip. And Bike went into the competition with Mr. Harding, but he started in Concourse, which is 82. So then, when they decided to form the Untouchables, obviously I finished school, but me and Mac still linking up. And Mac knew what I could have done and what I used to do when I was at school. So then when it was forming the Untouchables then, I happened to be like the foundation of the Untouchables then. So he knew my ability, he knew my talent. But I went into the tent. Don't forget, I used to sing reggae first. So I went into the tent now with a kind of ragga soca type, Lord Lara type music. The ballers them come and tell me, Rasta man ain't fit for society. So who is this Rasta man that coming at a national stadium but we don't really see what they crop over? And there was controversy. So I don't know why, but controversy worked for me. Because you remember Max saying, Iley, you don't get in the controversy. People will deal with that for you. People felt that I was unfair, but you would never see me. You gone into a competition knowing the judge's decision is final. You might be a little annoyed, but you can't be like getting on as though you want to turn everything upside down because you don't get in. People dealt with that. So my strength was for me and Bag to sit down together and get Bag come up with a tune that we would deal with them judges. But they must answer to the Lord Almighty. Answer for what they did to me. Answer for this skullduggery. They killing Kaiso in this country. So don't see the Rasta that come. See the work that the Rasta man bring. And if a youngster right now is so powerful, because you might got shareholders in a competition, if he can earn his place, send him. But don't send him because you feel Ras Iley is 60 and you need to make room for people. But if I'm 60 and still doing my job, what you want to run me for? You make the mistake in cricket, you make the mistake in all aspects of sport and entertainment in the Caribbean. So you need to stop making them mistakes. And once you producing, you send for the individual. So my career started with controversy singing about Rastafari. That's how it started. And it worked for me. So then after singing the commentary then, the next year we went straight to the finals, you know. But then the third year now we work out, listen, you got a good footing. You establish yourself as a force to be reckoned with. Mac and myself, we decided we can produce an album. But to produce the album now, to help sell the album, you got to up the tempo. When I up the tempo, and at that time we think Cropova had now moved from the Garrison to Spring Garden. And I spent the first, I ain't lying, I spent the first 10 years of my career explaining to people all over the world what is Cropova. Because we had a unique thing where it basically is like a carnival, but we just decided to call it a different name. I guess to market it different. So then I had to go through a whole routine, Mark and myself, explaining to people what is Cropova. And at Spring Garden, a beautiful highway with the only beach that we could brag about, that you could jump up and go straight in the sea and enjoy life. So I don't know why you would ever want to move it. A unique, a original.
Why have you stepped away from competition?
Competition, I think it have its place. But as you grow older in the business and you see certain things happening and a whole set of politics start to play inside the art form, I don't need to be in a competition. What you used to do now and then, because you got to be clever in the entertainment business. If you realize easing in a competition can up the thing for you in terms of focusing on Iley this year, you would go. But I try to ease away from it because one of the things that I see happen with artists, bad decisions, they got people is point like a baby that want breast milk when certain things don't go the way. And it kind of get to people's psyche. Everybody can't really take pressure, you know. So you got to be really sympathetic too with people that are going through pressure because you can bear it, you don't know what them people dealing with. So them is things I learn in life. And sometimes you might not agree with everything people doing. But once you respect my thing and I respect your thing, we can have a conversation.
How has music changed in terms of calypso soca from the 80s, 90s to now?
How has it changed? Well, anytime I could come and sing a song that's 37 years and make people behave as though I know win the road march, if it don't need fixing, don't touch it. That's my thing. And if you drop some of the biggest classics from Griner, from Plastic Bag, even Pompey, I remember in the days when they started. That's why I got a lot of respect for them men that I came and find, you know. Because when I was in the competition, I was among Romeo, Hunker, you know, Yabi. And there's a lot of respect I got for them men. So Pompey music now. Because at the time we only had like Ed Watts, we only had Mike Seeley and Smokey doing the thing now. They didn't have other arrangers. They didn't really know Chris Solomons and the Nicholas Brankers then. So Pompey went to Ed Watson. Ras Iley, Mark and Baggy went to Kenny Wallace. Because Mark had known Kenny Wallace as a teacher in Trinidad. And Gabby and Griner was with Eddie. And I see a job bless them three arrangers. And the work and the contribution they have made to the entertainment industry / Calypso arena in Barbados. Because don't forget, coming down in the 80s now, heading to the 90s, if you remember, spectacular promotions used to come here. So then the music in the 80s start to penetrate Trinidad Spring Garden. And then you had Government Boots. And as we evolved now and moved to the 90s, Frank Martineau realized, listen, boy, I had to promote this thing now as a Bajan invasion. Because our music now is like, here I am. Because you see, the thing is, it's a Caribbean thing. But even though the Trinidadians were arranging our music, you see the Bajan compositions, there's something unique about it. So it forced the Trinidadian arrangers to come to the table to deal with the melodies. But you can hear the Trinidad sound in the musical component, but the melodies force the Trinidadians to go in a different direction to their what they are customary in doing. And that helped create a potpourri now, a great songs coming out in the late 80s and early 90s. But then watch me. You know, you could always remember what year Griner win a road march. And you could identify the song. You can't tell me some of these people now that win a road march. You can't remember the song from 2 years ago. So it's like fast food. My music is ground provision music. In other words, I just call it idle music. You see them old people, them live long off of ground provision. Because that's what sustains them in the hot sun, tilling the land. You see the fast food thing? I call this new wave music fast food music. The young people can do, them got the right as artists to do what they want. But the old people take time longer than rope. And as we have this conversation here now, as like many other artists, you would realize now that as time go on, we really feel as though like with soca and calypso music is concerned, we lost part of our soul.
You are a fan of social commentary.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that social commentary still has the pull, for lack of a better term, that it had, let's say, 20 years ago?
Oh, you mean? Listen to me. Social commentary, right? Social commentary is the people ain't got the ability to have a conversation, to reach politicians, nor to reach certain people in society. We have the microphone and we have the platform, and the people is depend on the Calypsonians when the year come to say what they can say. If you realize that the business is swinging in a certain direction, the commentary need to be sweetened up. I did commentary, and nobody said that commentary got to be slow. I did party expos, and that was in 1990. And if you listen to it, it worse now. So I could see ahead of the time. And that's where you need songs like that can live. Not that gonna fade away when the season finished. So all them is commentary. I had tunes like tourism in trouble. I'll give an example. Bum, bum, bum. Millions of dollars, they waste already. And I deal with tourism. I deal with farming. I deal with all kind of issues. But the beat is, so the fellas just go up the game, and while you see the people sitting down listening to the lyrics, the people must also feel a mood to get the entire body, the brain already there and the eyes there watching you, get your whole body and grooving to the commentary. And that's what commentary really need. But in terms of the lyrical content, we still got fellas that are writing good commentaries. Gabby does do a lot of writing for a lot of fellas. I don't know how much writing back, he still writes songs for people. And then they got some other young songwriters coming to the table. But at the end of the day now, what the competition was able to do over the years for me, because you have a criteria of X amount for lyrics, X amount for melody, how you render your tune, let me consider that the building blocks to help creating a good entertainer. So after a while, as you get into the thing and you get more mature, some people might see a need to move here, but all them ingredients in the criteria from the initial stages is what has helped make you a better Calypsonian.
Do you think there are enough opportunities, not only here, but further afield for our Calypsonians, our artists?
Well, one of the disadvantages I find that we had over the years and still know, your song, to me, Trinidad is the in-transit point. And I tell you why. They're Calypso people, soca people. And if they love your tune, you can guarantee they can got you in every fete. So you call it the in-transit point. So you always want your song to do well in Trinidad. No, because they are fete people, they have a lot of different promoters in partly every state. And by having that, their artist is guaranteed work throughout the year, whether in Miami. Right now they're going to carnival in partly every state. But the Trinidadians embedded in it. No, we ain't really got the Bajan promoters. So most of my work over the years, a Bajan promoter might call you for a Labor Day show or maybe an independent show. They no more. So you always got to depend on the Trinidadian promoters. At least that's how my career went. And I did it around from 1983. I moved out from 1986, and I know for a fact that it is them islands people and Trinidadian people that really give me work all over the soca world. So until we people now getting more involved in we think that we don't go and wait upon other people, we think we'll move forward much faster.
All right, Mr. Small, still a lot to discuss regarding your life in the arts and outside. I know that. That's why we can take a short break. Stay with us. You're watching One on One.
The Barbados Police Service is a dynamic organization which caters to the needs of all residents by providing excellent customer service within our communities. We are excited to inform you that we are recruiting new members to our ranks and welcome your participation.
We are building the Barbados Police Service within our communities. Are you smart, skillful, motivated, ambitious, reliable, and talented?
Smart to fulfill your life's dream.
Smart to chart career opportunities.
Smart to make a difference.
Smart to pursue economic sustainability.
Smart to enable change.
Smart to provide public service.
I say to you today, if you have a love for people, if you enjoy nurturing your communities and taking care of persons, then definitely the Barbados Police Service of which I am a proud member, is the place for you. So I encourage you, lend us a hand, join us now to help keep Barbados safe.
Come join us, join me in making our country a safer Barbados.
Your place is here in the Barbados Police Service.
Come, join our ranks and chart a career of economic sustainability. Make that difference as an agent of change while providing public service as you fulfill your life's dream.
Welcome back. We're continuing our discussion with veteran entertainer, Mr. Darcy Ras Iley Small. Now, Mr. Small, in the first half, we were discussing music and how it has changed over the years. You mentioned a situation now where we are producing what you term fast food music. Is it a case where we're concentrating more on the musical arrangement and not the lyrics, or what are we doing wrong?
Like for me personally, right? I find the music getting too vulgar. Too vulgar. That's my major concern. And I am a little concerned even how the young women go into the level of degrading themselves with the music. I come up in a time where we used to sing music and I never had to tell nobody walk up, you know. I mean, there would be that one-off tune where you would do something, but the music in itself and the arrangement and the melody, this force people to dance and carry on, but to actually engage them into the going down that kind of slack road, I don't really be for that. And the music now is more focused on that. And then when we check now, the young people now that coming up, and this is all they're seeing. So my basic argument has always been, when I came, we released songs. And we never divided the population, you know. That song had young people and old people dancing. And we going down a road now where we chopping up, and old people thing out here, young people thing out here, and we go a national festival. And if everybody can come together and behave and party to the same music, something wrong. If you're in a business and you're looking to sell things, you try to incorporate every customer possible that you can get. You don't divide them and run them. So I just find that the music, in terms of substance and storyline, there ain't really not much to follow in terms of educating you about nothing, or you're singing a song and you be able to tell this wonderful story while the music got them dancing and partying. And I guess too, since the bedroom studio thing come about, it gave different fellas opportunities to try a thing. But then when I go in the studio, right? If I got to pay in the studio for waiting 2 and 3 hours to getting my vocals right, because when I leave the studio and I go to the world, that will be there like old Spring Garden now, 37 years. I still singing it and people still hearing it. I want it to go right. I don't want to hurry down because you want to try and get it for Party Monarch. You don't produce music so.
So you think the quality is not as good as it should be?
No. No. It kind of watered down, so it don't have the longevity. It don't have the longevity because as you start to play, you ain't paying no interest in melody. You ain't really getting the arrangers no work, you know. Because any arranger that I work with that see a good melody, he ready to show off his talent because he got various options in how we move and behave on that melody with his instruments. But if you don't give the melody to work with, it's just so-so. So these people got to understand you got to be critical, yes, but at the same time digest the knowledge and information. And if you find that you're going and making a right turn, you ain't late. Make a stop and see if you could drift to the center or the left and better the music, because I don't know who can tell you that you can find 3 or 4 songs every year that can create damage and destruction in the soca world when it leaves Barbados. And I only talking because I want to be critical. I talking because I come up among Gabby and Pompey and Destroy and all them fellas that the day before me. And I had to work to fit in the space. Nobody ain't give me no, do me no favor. So there ain't an easy way. Some fellas might get away with a little thing because everybody looking for likes and this and that, but at the same time, you music gotta be able to live.
And people used to enjoy going out to the tents at that time as well. We don't have that culture anymore.
Yeah, because what happened is gradually everybody tried to move away from the tent and everybody feel it could be a party star. And not only that, in the tent environment too, you gotta up your game because people coming in the tent and sitting down. Mm-hmm. And they expect entertainment, even though it is just commentary. Who say commentary can be entertainment? So you gotta get that package right and keep the people that are coming out. They might not be jumping up and waving, but you want them sitting down and rocking and sitting down and tapping their feet. And then you will know your commentary going somewhere. But you don't have the level of tunes that you can say, no, well, okay, we got 10 great tunes, or whether it be in party or pickety crop. So I would say that them fellas that come in now, they ain't really in an easy way that I know to success, other than trying to do the thing right. And don't only produce music for the pickety crop or produce music for the semi-finals or party monarch. When you're producing that music, even though you're sending it in them competition, take your time and leave the studio with a proper recording.
And like I said, I introduced you as Mr. Energy. Uh-huh. You used to bring the energy on stage, and many people used to come to the tents just to see your locks.
Well, they will see it at Kensington Road come here the 20th.
How long are they now?
Well, I can't say measure them, but when they stand up, the distance, when they touch the ground, they're running all over you. But to me, my locks, I take pride in my locks. I don't even show my locks in public because my locks is like a sacred thing. And if I got to use it to my advantage. So when I back my time, people might be saying, well, man, what are you doing with all that here? No. Again, boy. But at the same time, that is the testimony to my commitment as Rastafari for over 40 years. 40 years dread up. But in school, you can add another 4 to that 40 years. So when I left school, I dread up. The same time I started to sing.
How you were with your wife Cheryl from the time that you were at school. Mm-hmm. You have 3 grown sons.
Yeah.
How difficult was it as somebody in entertainment to balance home and that entertainment life?
Well, to be honest with you, one thing I can tell you, I had a kind of euphoria when it comes to leaving home. Frank Martineau used to want me to come to Trinidad a whole week to sing in the tents, and then maybe the Jean Pierre Complex weekend. I said, Frank, I can't handle this. I come a weekend, and then the show is done, I flying out. I will go to America to perform different places. I come in the Thursday on a flight, check for rehearsal, when rehearsal is, because I want to get the business out the way. But then the next business outside of that, I got a shot for my family. So after I finish my rehearsal, I deal with the family after show, first thing Monday morning. So an immigration officer or customs officer can't look in a computer and say, well, I really stand 6 months. Nah, as soon as Monday come, I home. So that was my life. So it never really affected me. Well, you can tell the children every time we come home, always used to look for a pair of sneakers or some kind of, you know. So that was the exciting part of I going, and then when they come home, it was always something that I could have, you know, bring for them on from my trip.
And sticking with the family, your wife and yourself, you have a very successful ambulance paramedic business, medic response.
Yeah.
You've had that for several years now. Tell me, how did that even come about?
Well, we was always planning to get it going. But there was a gentleman at the club that forced me to start about 3 months earlier, a gentleman called Mr. Chris Armand. He was the racing operations manager for the turf club. And sometime he had a spill and a jockey fell. And then I think it was Lord Taylor went up and complained. I think it was his horse. And the guy had a serious accident, but there was no ambulance available on the track. And then he wanted me to do it in like, oh, okay. I said, no. I can't embarrass my wife at the ambulance service being involved in this profession to come and start it half ready. So if we go and do the same way, like how she does operate at work and follow the same protocols. Yeah. So then we put an ambulance in place, and then that's why I started. I used to work for the turf club on the track and stuff, providing the service for the jockeys and stuff. So for me, it was great. And I used to be a jockey, so sometimes I even used to reach out beyond the call of duty to see that certain things go right with the jockeys and stuff. And, you know, since then, it was like, apart from the track, then we started, because when I first started, I can afford to run the road. My medical director is Dr. Brian Charles, and he has a lot to do with our success when medical response is concerned, you know? And we would work at events, crop over events, sporting activities, and everything just branched out. So we reached the point where we was contracted with Bayview to provide a service for their hospital. We still do provide a service for the hospital. So I'm grateful to all these people, to some of the doctors, Dr. Moore, Dr. Bandele, you know, and all the people that have been around me over the years. You know, I would like you to allow me to take this opportunity to really give them people credit too, because people like Jeffrey Brown from CS Pharmacy, Merle Niles was around me from the time I finished school, right? Andy John, Hallam Nichols. These are people that right now in the engine room helping me to get this show. But Gabby and Bike is a different thing, because them is people that very close to me. We like brothers. And they had a lot to do with my career. And there's so many people that, you know, I even want to compliment. You see them people in the neighborhood, growing up, they tell me it was hard years. But you know what I like about them times? Audrey Ski, Miss Jordan, the Briggs, the Browns. You can get out the line in your neighborhood. Your grandmother could go in town, and the whole neighborhood got high security for people's children. And where I reached today is because them people was always in the community making sure that when my parents or my grandparents go to town or go out, them was keeping watch. If I was hard years, they pull me in line. So my success now, to all them people in Bell Gully, Britain, where my mother lived, I would like to compliment them, because if not for them too, and the teachers at school, you know. I mean, I mentioned Mac and them fellas, but Mac know how we stand. But in terms of that community, them people really helped me a lot.
Coming back to medic response, how long has medic response been in existence?
Could be for roughly about 10 years now, subject to correction.
10 years.
But we started kind of like under the radar, slow. We can afford to be on the road. We more started to work road when we get the little contract with Bayview, where we had to be from 8 till 8 round the clock.
And medic response had a critical role to play during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yes, I tell you that 90% of the sick people in this country, government call and ask for our assistance. And we said we would try our best to provide. We couldn't do it the same day they wanted because we had to make sure that certain things put in place. And once they was put in place, I would like to thank Ms. Bob for calling us, you know, and we were able to provide that service for 90% until in the latter stages, then the ambulance service started to pick up the slack because it became real overwhelming. But that's what we did. We don't make no lot of noise, but I was grateful. And again, as a Rasta man, to own a business like that and had the privilege to see after the sick people in my country, I felt proud. And I felt a sense of gratitude that I know that I can play my part in whatever small way with the little business I got. And my wife is a paramedic. She works at the ambulance service. My second son is an EMT. He started with me, but then he get the opportunity to go in the ambulance service. So I tell the last one, Shem, I say, you don't go anywhere. You go see after medic response. Because if you watch the Indians, the white people, all different ethnic groups, the Asians, we work, family, son, daughter, you name it, and then put all hands on deck and build a business. So Shem understand what you tell you. So the last one that's 20, I think he's 26. His job now is to make sure that if anything happened to me or the mother, he got the ambulances there to continue the business. So he got 3 of them in the family. So imagine in the middle of a pandemic. And it was amazing, in the middle of the pandemic, all 3 of these here in the pot puree up in sick people's face. And I remember whenever Shem and Aki come home, pants off in the washroom, clothes in the machine, and then coming in the house in a box of shorts. But you know, amazingly, after everything went down, everybody in the house catch COVID there. When the big hysteria there, they kind of like winding down. But it was kind of like mild, so I was still grateful. So, you know, life, I don't question nothing the Almighty put before me, because I know even when I was a farmer, you will find, you know, plant something, and real rain fall, and your crops get washed out. But who you gonna curse? The reservoir is gonna get little rain. That's part of nature and part of life. And I'm flying in the Almighty face at no time. So what's supposed to be for Ras Iley, Ras Iley will get. But I also know that in getting it, it just don't come easy. It is always a struggle. And I already work out. That's how my destiny work out by the Almighty, and I live with it day by day.
Now, you are turning 60 this year. You're also celebrating your 40th anniversary in entertainment. And you have this massive show coming off at the end of May that you've been hinting at throughout this entire interview. Tell me about it.
Well, with over the 40 years, I've been privileged to perform with some of the best on some of the biggest stages, you know what I mean, from Wingate Park to Madison Square Garden. And these people that I'm bringing, I've always worked with these people, whether it be Calypso Spectacular and some of the other events. So when I went back to the drawing board, they said, listen, I have to have people around me that help mold me. And when it was evolving, I was around them. And when I call all them artists was ready from the time they get the phone call. So I'll be having Chalk Dust, Gypsy, Baron, Ronnie McIntosh, and Beckett from St. Vincent, Mark Fingal, Bumba, Serenada, Gabby, Marshall Montana backing band, and we expect to have some tickets out for the show for next weekend, and we're going to put some early birds out. And trust me, when them come out, get them, because you would not get early birds so cheap for a show like this from the other way. on a other place, on a other promotion. So I'm hoping that the public turn up and what you've been craving for in a technical sense outside of the Ras Iley 40th anniversary, 60th birthday celebration, you'll be getting vintage Iley and vintage in general. Something that you've been craving for a number of crop overs. You'll be getting it at Kensington Oval. Thanks again to the management for allowing us to be here, to do the interview and to have the concert. And thanks for everybody, that have been helping me to put together the show and everything looking nice. So I got some little teasers on social media to keep people abreast of what's going on every week.
Approaching your 60th year of life and 40 years in entertainment, is there anything looking back that you would have done differently?
I can't, to be honest with you, I can't say so, because why it might sound strange, right, is because of the life I live. You remember I tell you I don't fly in the almighty face in terms of if the weather bad for farming. I ain't flying in the almighty face to question my destiny. And I'm grateful for having the talent that I could drop one thing and pick up something else. Because it was, and talent is something that you shouldn't let go to waste. To me, that's one of the biggest sins, to got talent and don't use it. So I've been gifted and talented in a lot of different areas, and I'm grateful to the Almighty for it.
On that point about not letting talent go to waste, should we ever expect any new music from Ras Iley?
I like how you do your interviews, You smell a rat. I got a new tune that I can release in about another week and a half. Give me the mic and watch me.
Okay. I can leave that. I can leave that.
Give me
there.
the mic and watch me.
Another week and a half.
Yeah, for
okay.
real.
Okay. And that's all you can tell me at this point? You don't want to give away anything else?
Because I can't give you everything. I gotta keep you excited.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And I written by plastic bag on myself.
Give me the mic and watch.
When the 2 sevens clash, it's bacchanal. When me and plastic bag clash or me and Gabby clash, it's the bacchanal.
Well, this has been a very exciting interview looking back at your life and your work and the many different hats that you wear. And thank you for taking the time out to speak with us this evening. Really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure, man.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Respect.
That was Mr. Darcy Ras Iley Small. We were looking back at his life as a veteran entertainer. I'm Lisa Lord. Thank you so much for watching One on One. Do have yourself a wonderful evening.